All right, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to All for United. This is a match reaction. You've got me once again back on your screens. Club football is back, of course, and Manchester United have just beaten Brighton by 2-1 at Old Trafford after a very, very awkward performance. That's the best way to describe it. A first half, which all of us can say was absolutely abysmal. United were nowhere near the quality that we should be expecting from this team, especially against a team that's playing some decent football, but let's call a spade, as Temi would say. They're fighting for relegation. We should have been playing a lot better than we did. And in the second half, it was a completely different game. I think as soon as we scored our goal, we instantly picked up the tempo. We instantly played with a bit more energy, with a bit more enthusiasm almost, and we seem to have a bit more urgency to our play. Now, why that took so long, why that first half was as poor as it was, that's the detail we'll get into very, very soon. So let me know in the comments what you made of the performance, what you thought of our tactics today. Was there an issue? I discussed with a few people on Twitter earlier today about the coaching and the setup and things like that. Let me know what you guys think in terms of that. Get in the comments, let me know. If you're watching anywhere else, Facebook or Twitter, head over to youtube.com/allforunited. Hit subscribe. Make sure to like the video as well. And yeah, get your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear what you have to think. I've got some fantastic guests coming up. Just a warning, if I have any internet issues, it's been flapping about today. So if there's any issues, Tammy's in the background. He'll jump in if anything goes wrong at all. Now, without further ado, let's get our first guest back on. He's been on before, and I'm sure he'll be on again at some point. But it is Alan Tong. Alan, how are you doing? First question then. First half, what did you make of the first half? Why was it so poor?
Good question. Just didn't get going. Really average performance. No interplay, poor quality. Just didn't seem to get going, sadly. So yeah, that was certainly a first 45 minutes to forget, wasn't it? And don't know what happened at half time. Maybe Ollie vented his spleen a little bit, lost his temper, and we've seen a little bit of a different second half. And I hasten to say a bit of a resurrection given the day that we're on today, and we've managed to turn it around and come away with the 3 points, which again, I suppose a lot of fans on the social media sites are saying that's all that really matters at the moment. That's getting the results over the line. But I just hope that sooner or later we're not going to get done.
Yeah, and in terms of the first 45 minutes or so, and even before that, the first half an hour almost, you mentioned that we didn't really get out of the blocks quick enough. Why do you think that is? Because it's a consistent problem now that we're starting games slowly. What do you put that down to?
Well, it could be a range of things, really, Karthik. It could be maybe a bit of fatigue after. I mean, I hate trying to look for excuses, but you're right. I think United generally this season we've been pretty poor starters, haven't we? In a lot of the games that we've seen, we're gonna get done. Like we keep making it hard for ourselves by going behind and having to scrap and fight back. So I don't want to sort of point fingers and give excuses. It's certainly something that needs to be looked at, because there's going to be games here where if we're not careful, we're gonna go behind and we're gonna go 2 or 3. But we're gonna get done sooner or later, and it's something that needs to be addressed from maybe the sports scientists, the coaching staff. Maybe it's something to do with the I don't know, the formations that we're playing, and you could say a bit of fatigue for the international break, and we've started off a little bit slow, a little bit ponderous again. But other players, other teams have been on international break, so I don't want to use that as an excuse. So yeah, that's something that seems to be a pattern or theme that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, and I think you have a point there with fatigue. And now, obviously, a lot of clubs are dealing with the same thing, and lots of players obviously are doing that. But I feel like with United, because of the lack of maybe quality depth that we have in certain positions, we seem to have they're not fully fit. Now, Ollie said in his press conference, players are rarely ever 100% fit. Now, that might be a point. But players like Marcus Rashford, who's played a lot of time with injury, scored today, very good finish, but he's playing with injury. Cavani didn't look very sharp today. is this a problem that we're seeing in terms of maybe we need to recruit so that we can use our squad a little better? Because at the minute, we're playing players that are just about fit. Is that a sustainable thing, do you think?
Yeah, I think we don't know what's going to happen here, Karthik, at the end of the season. There's going to have to be recruitment here, I think, especially if we want to get challenging again. Certainly, we're having a better season. I think we're 14 points at the moment better off at this stage than we were last season. So there has been improvement in relation to a league campaign. But ultimately, City have shot clear and we're quite a number of points behind them. So to try and readdress that balance and get up challenging for the Premier League title, there's going to have to be a recruitment strategy here that needs to be addressed. So I don't know what sort of money is available, what sort of cash is going to be available. It's looking highly likely that Ollie's going to sort of be in the seat again, isn't he, to take us through this? Rumours, and we keep reading in the media and the press he's on the verge of signing a 3-year deal. So if that's the case, then he needs to be backed. And I think there's a certain number of positions at the moment that's going to have to be filled, and quality is going to have to be brought in, and maybe one of those signings is going to have to be a top centre forward.
You then for a bit, Tammy, I might need to ask you to jump in if I lose my connection. Before I jump off, just in case. In terms of the performance today, then let's look at some positives. Mason Greenwood in the number 9 gets shifted into the middle after Cavani comes off. Did he show for you the kind of natural striker's instinct that were perhaps lacking in that position? Because he only needed about 5 minutes and he got himself a goal, didn't he? Yeah,
he's a good player. Mason Greenwood's only a young kid still, isn't he? He's got loads of time. He's still learning the game, but he looks to me as though he's a natural in relation to his goal scoring ability. He always seems to create chances, and he hit the post in the first half. And I think the one thing that I like about Mason, that when I've been sort of watching him over this last year or two and watching his development coming through the different stages of United, the schoolboys and the under-18s, etc. He always seems to create chances and get chances in a game, and that's kind of a big tick in Mason Greenwood's box. So, but is Mason ready to be knocking 25, 30 goals in a season? I'm not sure just yet. So we're going to have to bring an established centre forward in. Obviously Anthony Martial's picked up an injury. Cavani looked rusty, very rusty today. He's been out of action for a while, hasn't he? And there's rumours about Edinson as well that I'm not too sure if he's too happy here, to be honest. I think at the end of the season, he's maybe looking to go back to his homeland, or he's going to move closer to home. So from a long-term perspective, obviously that's not going to be the answer. So I think we're going to have to get the Glazers, Mr. Woodward, and this new little team that we've set up now with John Murter and Darren Fletcher, and try and recruit bring a top quality centre forward, and who that'll be, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously Haaland's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be in for him. Harry Kane, maybe potential. He's a top. He'd certainly tick a box, and he'd certainly do the business. So we're going to have to get the purse strings open, and I think that's one position that we certainly need to fill.
Thank you for that, Alan. Sorry that we're doing a little bit of a switch up here. Karthik's internet is on live support, as we see. I appreciate you so much for hopping on, Alan. I'm going to keep on asking you a couple more questions before we move on. You've brought up some really great points. I wanted to ask you really quickly, who did you think was the best player on the pitch today? I know you mentioned Mason today. Obviously, Marcus got a goal. Who was a player for you that impressed you the most today on the pitch?
Yeah, I think Mason did well. I think Luke Shaw had another solid game. Yeah, he's at a decent run of form at the moment. He's managed to get himself back into the England side, hasn't he? So I think big ticks for Luke Shaw today. On occasions, I thought Fernandes, he showed a few flashes. A nice little assist for the equaliser. I thought he showed a few nice touches and things like that. And he is a quality player, but I don't think there was many standout performances today.
Yeah.
But we've just done enough to get 3 points on the board and get over the line. And almost secure top four now. I don't think that's going to be an issue now. So I think probably Greenwood, Luke Shaw, probably the standouts, and Fernandez here and there as well.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you. I think top four is pretty much nailed on. That's the big positive today. I think we're 11 points ahead of Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken. I can't see us dropping that many points or Liverpool gaining that many points for them to catch us, which is really important. So it was a huge win today. We're going to discuss more about this. We have some great guests. Alan, thank you so much for hopping on. We appreciate it. Obviously, this interview ended a little bit differently than it started with me. But again, we appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem at all. Take care and keep safe.
Take care. Guys, that was Alan, contributor to the post-match show. We appreciate him very, very much. I am here with you guys right now. Guys, get in the comments, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, you feel me? Karthik's internet is on life support, you feel me? So I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then I'm going to bring our other guests in, you feel me? I'm going to talk for a little bit here. Guys, give me your thoughts on the game today. Give me your opinions. Super bittersweet for me. I can't lie. Super bittersweet for me. Let's get in the comments. Results matter more than performances at this stage of the season. Played well second half, poor first half. Greenwood man of the match. I'm torn on that statement. I'm really torn on that statement. Yes, the first sentence is true. Results do matter more than performances at this stage of the season. But that being said, we are Manchester United, you feel me? And I will never, ever, ever forget that. I'll never drop that standard. And I think for 65 minutes, we were really poor. Like, we were really, really poor. I completely agree with John's comment. When we dominated the first 10 minutes, I thought we had – Fred says, when we dominated the first 10 minutes, I thought we had finally turned the leaf. Then things went back to normal. Poor first half, and the turnaround after going behind. Yeah, it was just not good enough to me. I'm sorry. It was poor for a large portion of that game. I thought Brighton on the course of 90 minutes probably deserved more than a loss. You feel me? Let's get in the comments here. Lewis Willis says, hi, Tammy. Brighton fan here. Well played today. Comfortable result in the end, but felt we gave you a good challenge. Good luck the rest of the season. I think it was more than a comfortable result. I was not comfortable at all throughout that whole game. Even after we went up, Brighton came back and fought again. It was a tough match. You feel me? And there has to be something said about the way we perform. I think we need to perform much better throughout the course of a 90-minute game. I keep on saying this. Karthik joined. I hop on the post-match all the time with Karthik, and I say this all the time. We don't play good football often enough. We just don't. We don't play good football often enough, and I'm not going to be the one. I'm hosting today, so I'm not, I was ready to voice my opinions, tear the house down, you feel me? I'm not going to do it, obviously, now because, I have to be kind of, not biased, level-headed about this because I'm hosting. I'm going to be bringing on some other guests here shortly, you feel me? But it's not good enough too often. I'm sorry. Pogba was poor today. Marcus Rashford, outside of that goal, was poor today. I thought Wan-Bissaka was poor today, and there's just it's too often that there's a big chunk of the team not playing well enough. Cavani, poor. Greenwood had a good game. He had a good game. Scored a really important goal. But I have to say it frustrates me. It really frustrates me that, I feel like Brighton played, they played the more attractive football. Yes, we got the 2 goals that were crucial. We won the game. And I'm ecstatic about that. I think top 4 is secured. You feel me? That's a huge win for us. In my opinion, I think solidifying top 4 is crucial. But again, I'll keep on saying it. The definition of insanity is, doing the same thing multiple times and expecting a different result. And we do this often. We start games poorly often. This isn't like when people are like, oh, I don't know what the reason is. It has to be something. I think our coaching staff is not good enough. Again, I'm not here to say Ollie in, Ollie out, but these players aren't coached properly enough to me. It becomes too blatantly obvious during games that, we rely on a mistake or a lucky bounce too often for me. You see what I'm saying? We need to be playing matches of football where we're the dominant one, or not even that we're playing a more attractive brand of football. You feel me? Because there's multiple games where we have more possession, we dominate the play, but we just look like we lack ideas. We look like we lack ideas. Let's get in the comments real quick. Did not play well, but big win for us. Another big game on Thursday night, 100%. Cavani didn't have much service, but he was awful on and off the ball today. No number 9 that plays for us ever gets service. It's just it's a fact. I feel bad for Edison Cavani because he must be looking at himself like, what the hell did I get myself into? I'm not seeing the ball at all. We came unstuck when we conceded the goal and lacked any rhythm afterwards. This is what Andrew Wall contributed to the show. We were a little better in the second half and got the job done in the end. Another 3 points on the board. 100%. 100%. Completely agree with that. All the things said there. Got to get through the end of the season and see what kind of investment United gets. Side is crying out for quality. That's an interesting point there. I'm going to get our contributors in. I'm going to get Hama in real quick. I think we have enough quality to play better than we do. I will say that right now. Again, do we need more quality? 1,000%. 1,000%. We definitely need another center back. I love Victor. I love Harry, but they're not a good fit. You know what I'm saying? Not a good fit. I don't want to say I love both of them, but they're good center backs. They're just not great center backs. Wan-Bissaka needs competition. I love him. Anyone who watches, follows me on Twitter knows I defend him every single day without fail. He was not good enough. He needs cover. We need another striker. Anthony Martial out for the rest of the season. Cavani probably not coming back anytime soon. What I mean by that is he's not going to be here probably next season. Pogba, poor today. Poor. So poor. I can't even. It was bad. He was miserable today. And he's probably leaving in the summer. We need cover there. Yes, we do need better players. Actually, I agree with that statement. We do need better players. But we don't play good football often enough. I'm sorry. We have enough quality to put Brighton away. We have enough quality not to be worried during, when are we ever stress-free in a game? Just ask yourself that question as a United fan. How many times you get through a game and you feel comfortable? You feel like, okay, it could be 0-0. It could be 0-0, right? When do you ever feel comfortable? When do you ever feel like we are grabbing a game by the scruff of the neck? Never. And that's frustrating to me. I'm gonna bring my guy Hama in here. We're gonna have a discussion. Big win today. Hama, my guy. We 1-2-1. Top 4 looks like it's secured. How do you feel about the result today?
Hey man, quick question. My mic sounding good? It was giving me
bro.
trouble.
You sound great.
All right, cool. Listen, it was a frustrating game. Of course, I'm happy we won, and like you guys were saying, it looks like top 4 is dealt with and all that. But it was a frustrating game to watch in the sense, and going off what Ashley said and what you were saying, right? At the part where I didn't agree with her comment was where she said it was crying out for quality, right? We have quality. We're just missing too many gaps and things like that in certain areas, and that's where, yes, we need to see what happens in the summer. But today it was sloppy. Like you said, Paul wasn't playing well. We started good for 5, 8, 10 minutes, and then it went back to the old way of starting. And Wan-Bissaka, I told you guys that he's one of my favorite players on the team. He did not play great today, and that goal was on him, right? The Victor tried to get up there. He just didn't have enough hops in him, so he missed it. But Wan-Bissaka barely jumped, and it looked like he was trying to head the ball while he was still on the ground, and they got in front of him. So that was just poor from him in terms of positioning and effort into getting to the ball on that goal. And then even if you look at our goals, one was they were poor, they gave it away, and Bruno and Marcus took advantage of it. And the other one, I'll give the other one credit in terms of the build-up, but the other one was a mishit shot by Pogba, and Mason was able to jump on it, which I was happy to see for him because he's been needing a goal, but very frustrating game.
Yeah, no, it's like I completely agree with everything you said. It's bittersweet for me, because I'm excited I'm ecstatic that we got, when you look at the big picture, I truly believe top 4 is secured. This is what this game meant to us. I think we don't have to worry about, the likes of a Liverpool or the likes of a West Ham catching up to us. I think we're pretty much nailed on for top 4. But then I found myself literally almost punching the wall today. Like, you can tell, like, my demeanor is not like I'm not like gung ho, like, oh my god, like I'm happy, but at the same time I'm still coming down off of frustration because of that game. You feel me?
Yeah.
Let's get in the comments real quick. Tammy, imagine how Chelsea fans feel right now. I mean, yeah, they
Fair
lost
enough.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a fair point. I can name about 10 results this season that are mirror that Chelsea result, you know, in terms of how mad I could be, you know. But anyway, agreed. Hardly any of our players played well. Greenwood was possibly the only attacking player who played well. Pogba and Bruno were poor today. I know Pogba got assists, but lucky as 100% by John Kermode. Let's talk about the players today. First of all, I want to discuss Paul Pogba. I thought he was poor. I mean, he's one of my favorite players. He looked 10 miles off the pace. I mean, I don't think he's played that bad all season. Literally, I can't think of one performance he's put up to this season that was even remotely close to being that poor. What did you think about him today?
I think it was. I mean, you could use off the pace, I guess, too. I think it was it was the slowness. I think he was taking too long to make decisions, and he was given effort in some other places, which I did like to see. But in terms of what we want to see from him, you know, his passes, he was taking too long to make the decisions. They were a lot further off than they usually are. You know, like he tried to play a few through passes and stuff, and they were just way off. They ended up just falling to either the keeper or a defender who was just waiting for it. So I don't know what was up with him today. You know, I didn't watch. I wasn't able to watch too many of the international. I don't know how he played when he was playing with France on the break. But yeah, he was poor today, and I think it was just his. You know how we always talk about, like, we only have a few players with that football intelligence. It feels like shit wasn't just clicking in his head, and he just wasn't going fast enough with how it usually goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, fair points. Maybe I'm being harsh. You know, people are. Jarvis Cocker says, of course it's sloppy. Players just came back a couple of days ago, no training, just 48 hours with rest.
Well,
yeah, that's
something
fair.
I do want to say though.
Go ahead.
And it's just what I was thinking of, and it might go to the coaching that you want to talk about, you know, but I think there's other parts with the coaching as well. What frustrates me a lot with this team is that there seems to be a lot of times where they mess up the fucking basics. Right? Yeah. Like making that decision that we always talk about. We always get pissed off with Rashford trying to beat 4 players. You know, Like I saw there was one today, and he did a bunch of times, but there was one where he beat like 1 or 2, and I was like, okay, shit, that was good. Now lay it off. And he tried to go beat somebody else, and they crowded him out. And I was like, just you beat the first 2, lay it off to somebody. Someone's gonna be open, you know. And then I saw one where we were on the counter and Mason had it, and Rashford was making a run over him to get it on an open right side of the field. And then Mason decided to try to switch it to, I think, Bruno with 3 other Brighton defenders around him. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Play it into Marcus, and then you make a beeline to the post. Bruno and Cavani are running into the box already, and then Rashford just gets a cross in. Instead, we lost it on an attempted fancy pass and didn't work out.
No, again, completely agree with you. Maybe I shouldn't focus too much on the players. I feel like I'm being we're going to discuss. I mean, I feel like I'm being so harsh because we won, but I'm just pissed.
No. I don't think so, man. Because it's kind of what Alan said. Sooner or later, a team's going to do us where we're not going to be able to come back from it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big, you know, that's a great point because yes, there's moments where we played amazingly well, and then big moments we slip up. Like for instance, the Sheffield United loss. We're still in for a shot at the title. You know, we're in for a shout. We're close to City. We're near top of the table. Then we lose to Sheffield United. We draw against West Brom. Just poor results that just cost us because we perform like this often. You know what I'm saying? Another person I want to discuss is Edison Cavani because, listen, everyone loves to come at Anthony Martial. Like when he plays poorly, you know. Yeah. People love to be like, oh, he's lazy, he's not this, he's not that. And look at Edison Cavani today. I pity him. I really pity him. I'm not even joking. Like, this isn't me saying, oh, Martial's better than Cavani. You know, I pity anyone who's playing number 9 up top for us. He didn't see that. First of all, he's running around like a headless chicken, pressing by himself. Then you have him, you know, in the box. There's no crosses coming into the box ever, literally ever. You know, his first touch again. I mean, there's other parts of his game that were poor, that were his fault. Like his first touch, you know, he didn't hold up the ball well. His passing was sloppy, but it's tough to be a number 9 for Manchester United, isn't it?
You're not wrong. I think our wingers are more players who are concerned with cutting in and trying to get a shot and trying to get that, great goal. But there's times where, and I think I saw somebody comment on Twitter, or was it on here? I don't know. I think it was on Twitter or something, where they were like, he's coming from where he had wingers just ripping balls into him or his whole career, and now he's playing with wingers who want to cut inside and try to get a shot off. And I think some of it, and maybe it's the same thing that people get on Martial for. I think he got to a point where he was getting frustrated. He's like, all right, well, I'm not getting fed. Let me see if I can just get something off, a mistake from Brighton and see if I can get a press. And then in terms of the pressing, I hate seeing that shit. We used to see that when Herrera was still here sometimes, and he would be the only one pressing. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if he presses because they're just going to lay it off to somebody because no one else is pressing. So in terms of Cavani, I think he's just getting frustrated. I think he's used to a certain level that he's been playing at. And if you look at the players he's played at or played with, you can understand why in a certain sense. But yeah, I think some of it today was him reaching a frustration point that nobody was putting the ball in and he wasn't getting anything that he can do something with into a good position,
Yeah, no, I feel bad for him because maybe he didn't watch Manchester United before, before he came here or knew what our wide players are like. Our wide players aren't creative. They're not creative players. Rashford's not a creative player. He's best when he's driving at people and creating stuff for himself, not for others. Mason Green was the same way. He's a number 9 who's playing out wide. He put a couple decent. He did put a. I'll give it to Mason. He put a couple decent crosses into the box today. I'll give him that. And obviously he scored a very scrappy goal, number 9's goal, which I love. I love to see that. We need more of that from him. Let's talk about Mason Greenwood because I thought out of a lot of the shit we saw today, I thought he was pretty bright. Today. What were your thoughts on him?
Yeah. I'll give him his credit. There were times where I saw him. He was, he wasn't overdoing the step overs, but he was getting his moves in and trying to play something. Whether it was, trying to just rip a shot to see if he can get something on goal, or like you said, he put a couple decent crosses in today. But yeah, I think I was impressed with some of the things he was doing, and I think his goal, like you said, it talks to what we want to see in him and what we want to see in a number 9 more so than somebody who can do what Rashford does, right? Try to dribble through 2 or 3 people and curl a shot in or hit a rocket from outside of the box. So I think in terms of him getting that goal, it showed what people have been talking about him as he's been coming up through the ranks, right? Like he's this pure striker. He left foot, right foot, it doesn't matter. And shit, if he can get those headers in too, there's going to be a time when he breaks in. And I think, and for me, it's one of the things I think I commented a couple of times, both on here and in the chat. I've said he needs to build. He needs to bulk up. He's too small to play as a legitimate number 9 week in, week out in the Premier League. He's going to get destroyed in the box.
Yeah, 100%. Fred says, if we sign Sancho, our number 9 would really flourish. As you've mentioned, with the system we play, our wide players are basically inverted strikers. 100%. But then I asked myself this question, if we got Sancho, would we get another bounce the same way we did with Bruno, and then it gets figured out, and then we're back to square one? I asked myself that question because remember when we got Bruno, the issue before was, we don't have a creative number 10. We don't have a number 10 that can create and do all these things to get our the ball to feed to our strikers, blah, blah, blah. We got that number 10. He's been excellent. Now, it's our wingers don't create enough chances for our striker. It's just, I don't know how I feel. I'm gonna let you go, Hama. Before I do that, who was your man of the match today?
That's hard. I think I might go with Shaw. I think he was making some good runs and he was able to keep the ball in certain areas, but we just weren't capitalizing on some of the things that he was, or we weren't taking that good run by him and turning it into something. We kept tripping up somewhere. So yeah. I'll give it a Shaw. Yeah,
no, that's fair. I thought Shaw, again, to me, he's been our best. He might be our best player this season, man. He's been absolutely unreal. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for hopping on. I'm going to talk to you.
Of course,
probably. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, bro. You already know what it is.
Man.
Yes, sir. Guys, that was Hama bringing that good insight as always, man. He knows his stuff for real. He really knows his stuff. I'm gonna get Stu in here really quickly. You feel me? We're gonna have a discussion. I won't waste any time. I want to get his thoughts. I'm really interested to hear how he feels about the game. Stu Woolley with us, man. How are you doing, bro?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good.
I'm good,
not great. You know what I'm saying? I'm good, not great. Let's get in the comments real quick. Cavani was poor today, and Martial overall this season has been. I agree, our strikers are starved of creativity and chances, but I do think both can make themselves more available. Interesting thought there. Cavani had no service whatsoever from the players, but he is lacking the match fitness on the other hand. Okay, that's a fair point. It was important he got some minutes on the pitch. Tammy, I know where you're coming from. It depends on the direction, style Ollie wants to implement. We're going to talk about all these things with Stu right now. Before we even get started on some of those topics, how did you feel about the overall game? Were you pleased? Were you happy? What is in the bigger picture? What did you take from this game?
Do you know, it's exactly what I expected to happen, actually. I did mention it on Wall of Reds on Friday night. I knew it would be a tight game. And I'm not going to take the internationals into context on that. I knew it was going to be a tight game. The thing is, and I did tweet earlier, Brighton are 11 players, Premier League players, who are well organised. And they act as a collective, certainly in the first half, and it makes it very, very difficult to break down. For whatever reason, we lack imagination and football intelligence way too much in games, and certainly when teams sit deep. And it's kind of one of those where our players have got to take responsibility out on the field. And, you know, you've heard me speak about this, Temi, on many occasions about player determination and player ambition. And sometimes also when you're playing with against three at the back, and again, I said this Friday night, you need to play with width. And the only way you're going to play with decent width and to occupy the back three is to play with a basic 4-4-2. But we don't have conventional wingers. And this is another issue that we've got. And too many managers, they're so, they're so stuck in this newfound FIFA way of playing football, when sometimes you've got to take a step back and absolutely go back to basics, caveman basics. And if you went with a 4-4-2, we would have got way more chances. Cavani would have had his service. And you could have put Greenwood in alongside Cavani, actually. There wouldn't have been an issue. You could have played Rashford out on the wing. You could have stuck Pogba out on the wing, Bruno and Fred in the middle. And it would at least give Brighton something to think about. Now, I was on Twitter earlier, as always, and people were saying that, you know, team leaks this, team leaks that. It's got nothing to do with it. We play in the same way week in and week out. And it doesn't matter what the opposition is. We play in week in and week out. So when you become very, very easy to play against, like we are, it makes it easy to defend. Now, Brighton took their foot off the pedal in the second half. But in all fairness, they could have scored an equaliser. They had a couple of good chances towards the end. We've got to be more aggressive. We've got to tackle more. We've got to press more. And we didn't do any of that today. And I don't buy the international break, by the way.
I don't either. I don't. Yeah, but I completely. If people want to use that as a, you know, I don't buy that personally, because there's, you know, Leandro Trossard. He played for Belgium over the
3 games. Yeah, he played 3 games, didn't he?
He played 3 games. Who else played? I think did Connolly? No, Connolly didn't. Excuse me. He wasn't on the pitch today. But there was a few players from Brighton who were on international duty. Not every single United player was on international duty. Rashford didn't play. Lindelof, I mean, he was in and out of his international side. Pogba didn't play every game. You know, it's not an excuse. Let's keep going here though, Stu. Is Ollie's style of play a little boring? This is a bigger picture thing right now, right? Again, I don't let people like the, you know, Karthik said on Twitter, you know, buzzwords, right? Style of play is a buzzword phrase. But the question of, do we play boring football? I think that's a fair question, because there's a lot of times where, for me, I think it's so poor. Honestly, sometimes I think the way we progress the football from back to front is mediocre for the amount of talent we have. Sometimes I think that the quality is lacking. in terms of, you know, the passing, the quickness, the sharpness of it. And to me, that's stuff you hone on the training pitch, you know, the quickness of your passing, you know, the way you move off the ball. These are things that, you know, you learn on the training pitch. It's not something you're going to figure out while you're playing. I mean, so what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've got 3 or 4 players that aren't quick turnover players with the ball. Fred, for example, isn't quick. Maguire's slow. Lindelof is slow. Shaw's quite rapid, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka's quite slow as well. So when the balls are getting into Fred or Maguire, they don't quite know what to do with it. So their peripheral vision on the whole pitch isn't good enough. And we've seen this all season with goals that we've given away from passing out the back, and you know, players not understanding or not realizing who's in and around them. And it isn't anything to do with lack of communication. It's just, you know, basics, as I keep going on about basics. So our turnover just isn't quick enough. But when you've got the likes of Pogba today in particular, who didn't quite know what to do with the football, it's you've got to question what is going on. Really, from the coaching side. Look, professional footballers should be doing very, very short drills, you know, within a very short area. So the ball comes in and it's pass. So it's under control, bang, 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 bang. And that's what should be happening. And our problem at the moment is Ollie is always played in progressive teams. So we're rapid going forward. For whatever reason, at the minute, we're stuck in this rut where we just aren't quick enough going forward. We're not prepared to attack. We're not prepared to gamble into that 18-yard box again. And this is a real problem for us. What Ollie's going to do in the summer about it, I don't know. I mean, there's certain players that fans want. But again, you can go and get those players, but just look at what Brighton produced in the first half. Just look at how they were.
Basuma today.
Yeah, exactly. He was my man of the match, actually. Basuma, I thought he was outstanding all game.
By far the best player on the pitch. And and this is the issue I have is, you know, I see Brighton players. I mean, Basuma's he's an outlier. He's not a Brighton player. He's clearly above the Brighton. But look at the other players who maybe aren't as good. You know, they pass the ball better. It doesn't make sense. Stu, talk to me. Maybe
no, you're right, because they're progressive and they play for each other, and they've got a want and a will to win a game of football. They're probably not as clever as most players in the Premier League. They're not as sharp and as intelligent as a lot of Premier League players. But you don't have to be. If you look at Leicester in 2016 when they won the league, there was no real world beaters in that side. And I've actually played in squads where there's no world beaters, but there's a collective will to win. Yeah. And once you've got that collective will to win, it's very difficult. It's almost like running through a brick wall. I mentioned Lewis Dunk on Friday. He's scored 4 goals or something like that, 2 in the last 4 games. Really great player. He was excellent today. Ben White was excellent. And, you know, these guys, they're not household names. They're not posers. And you've heard me call players posers before, like Cancelo and players like that. They're just posers. I'm not interested in them. But they're good, solid professionals. And you need a splattering of good, solid professionals. And that's why our fan base don't like Maguire. He's just a solid professional footballer. He doesn't look good. He's not good looking. He doesn't go out and promote Gillette and all this bollocks. He gets in there and he plays football. And that's what you need. And we don't really, there's only 1 or 2 of them. Rashford, I thought he was okay today. He's clearly playing injured. I thought he was okay.
I think you're being kind. I thought he was woeful. He got
his goal, so you've got to give him a bit of credit.
I know. Yeah.
I thought Greenwood, I'm going to get hammered. I know. I thought he was average. Greenwood, I don't think it was great. Cavani was way off the pace. Fred had one of his better games today. I hate to say
it was excellent. I thought it was excellent. Yeah, considering the way our he was easily our best midfielder.
Yeah. But Pogba, I don't know what was going through Pogba's mind.
I think what happened. Honestly, for me, it's like he was playing international football. The pace of international football versus
very slow.
He played some pretty poor teams. He played some pretty poor teams in the run-in for his international team, and he was, if you watch him, I watched a few games that France played, he was taking 5 touches on the ball, 6 touches on the ball, because he had the time to do it. And then he comes back into the league, and it's like a shock, like, oh my goodness, I don't have time on the ball anymore. I don't know. He was poor today.
No, and you're absolutely right on there. Most people were giving Greenwood a lot of credit for his goal. Yeah, okay, credit where credit's due. But DVB was there. But most people wouldn't have noticed Donny van der Beek was right in exactly the same position, and DVB is the number 9.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have instinct in that 18-yard area, that 6-yard area, the 12 yards from the penalty spot to the goal line. You've got to be instinctive.
Yeah.
And that's where Cavani's got most of his goals this year. He's been instinctive within that. He's a jack in the box in that area.
Right.
But as I said before, because we don't play with conventional wingers, and somebody mentioned it on the chat, he's not getting the service, and he isn't getting the service. So he's, so it's just one of those.
Yeah. No. So I'm gonna ask you a quick question about overall where we go from here. Looking forward into this week, we got Granada, I believe.
We have
them Thursday. It's a big result. It's a big result. I'm not necessarily pleased with the way we played, but it's a good thing to get a win going into that game. Are you at all worried about Granada during the midweek?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I fancy us quite comfortably to go out there and win. I think were we away first?
That's a great. I'm not too sure.
I can't remember. I expect us to win the first leg 3-0. But I'm reading the comments, and Jarvis has made a couple of good points actually, and Hammer has. And I just want to pick up on what Jarvis says.
Yeah.
Jarvis talks about not being a willingness to attack, but learning to dominate the game. But those two actually do come hand in hand. They really do. To have that attacking prowess, you've got to be able to dominate the game. Actually, we do dominate the game, but we dominate the game from left to right or from the midfield to the back. So if you look at our stats are usually quite heavy on possession, but we don't move forward. So Jarvis has got a good point. And he's also asked me an earlier question about where I would fit Donny van der Beek in there. And you know my formation, Temi, because we've spoken about it on many occasions. I would have the holding player, Pogba and DVB, the central striker, and I would play Fernandez and another behind the central striker. That would give us a more fluid attacking team. And it really, really would. And that holding player would probably be McTominay, because I think he would be a bit more energetic and would be able to hold. So that's how I would get Donny in. And Hammer's picked up on a point that I made about Mason Greenwood. And again, Hammer's right. That's what people want to see. But I don't think you'll be able to see it on a regular basis. If you looked at the game overhaul, anytime Luke Shaw got the ball on what we call the byline, Greenwood was around the 18-yard area, 17, 16 yards into the box.
Yeah.
Get in on the 6-yard box. He's got to be able to make that darting run across the front or the near. And also, when Luke Shaw put a cross in the first half, it looped over Cavani's head. We had nobody coming in on the back post. Yeah. That's an instinctive striker. Gamble at the back post. So again, all great points. Jarvis always makes some great points anyway, and but Hammer's points were good. But there are ways where you can grow yourself into game of football.
100%. Before I let you go, Stu, who was your man of the match?
Basuma for me. I really thought he was the best. I'm sorry, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. If I've got to pick a United, but I'm a football purist as well. I love the game, and so I watch. I've got to pick. It'll be Shaw for us. Luke Shaw was by far our man of the match. So
fair enough. Yeah,
we're a way to go.
I appreciate you shouting out Basuma because he was easily the best player on the pitch today. No questions about it. But 100. I think for me, I would probably slightly edge with Fred. I just thought he was really, really good today. It's a good call, Penny. It's a good call. I'm not mad at all. I think Hama said Shaw. You're now saying Shaw, and I can't disagree with that. I would just slightly edge Fred because I thought he would. Yeah.
Well, that's because you watch the game, and you understand the game, and you watch the game. For me, I like the way Shaw's been for the last few months.
Yeah.
And he will probably be our player of the year, actually. I think he's edging Bruno at the moment.
No, I think he is.
Our player of the year. Yeah. And one thing I would say, potentially, I thought they played De Gea today, I have to say. So I was surprised to see Henderson.
I'm going to talk about that with James. I'm going to talk
Yeah,
about
of course.
that.
Sorry. Yeah, of course.
But no, hey, Stu, I appreciate you as always.
Thank you, lads. Thank you ever so much.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Guys, that was Stu, always coming with the great football takes. What a mind right there. You know, very, very objective, very, very to the point. I love talking to Stu about football, man. But I have the silent assassin coming on this show, James. James, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. It's a nicer nickname than Joe ever gives me, so that's a positive.
No. Joe would have given you a much less cool nickname. That's for sure. But just remember, anytime Joe gives you a hard time, just talk about Ireland and everything.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's easy. But before we get to the topic of Henderson and De Gea, because I do want to get to that topic, how did you feel about the game, James?
It was a bit of a hard watch, I think, for large parts. I think that the final, after half time, I thought we were better. Even before the goal, it was still a little bit slow. That goal seems to just fire a bit of life into us, which was nice. But you know, it seems to be the same old story. We need something to kick us into gear. We can't just play as we should be playing from the start. We need either an opposition goal or a goal from ourselves out of seemingly nothing, which our goal was really came from them giving the ball away sloppily. But yeah, you know, when we were firing on all cylinders, I think the goal was deserved at the time when we got that winner. And I thought in that 25-minute period, we were very impressive. But that's the main thing. It was only a 25-minute period.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I want to ask you, because I know how you feel about the manager. I know that you feel like we're making a lot of progress. And I'm going to say this phrase really quickly. I think we all know the definition of insanity. You know, the same thing happening over and over and over again, but we expect a different result. We start off games so poorly, consistently. Like it doesn't fail. Pretty much, I would say probably 65 to 70% of our games this season, we started very poorly in terms of, you know, not getting in a rhythm, getting down quickly, whatever the case may be. We always find ourselves in difficult positions starting games. Why do you think that is?
I couldn't tell you. I actually thought the first sort of 10 minutes before the goal, we started quite well. I think Brighton couldn't get a hold of the ball, but that goal just seemed to completely rock us. And you know, that again was sort of a goal from nothing. It was a brilliant cross and a brilliant header. Well, two headers to give them the lead. But it's strange, isn't it? I think maybe I could pin it down to the international break and the fact that we had more players out than them, and just put it on that. But it is, like you say, it's a repetitive thing. So it'd be very difficult to pin it on that because it happens every week. But I don't know. It's such a strange one. I don't know if it's a mentality thing or what. I can't put my finger on it. I think maybe we approach the first 15 minutes by trying to figure them out, maybe, and then taking the game from there. But we've been caught out too many times now. We've lost. Well, we've conceded the first goal on too many occasions. I get we're doing well to come back and win a lot of points from losing positions, but it's not a position we should be in the first place.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's my biggest gripe about, to me, our coaching staff, is that I think we see too many times where we don't set out games. You know, we find ourselves in too many difficult positions too often. You know, like you said, I agree. We started off the game well. First 10 minutes, bopping it back and forth. You know, the center backs to the midfield. I thought Fred was looking lively. But again, once Brighton kind of got in their shape, it became easy for them. They just shifted from side to side. Wasn't really too much for them. Then they started playing football, and it got really interesting. We're going to talk about some other things, though. The De Gea and Henderson situation. I'm a bit disappointed in how it's being handled. I can't lie. I think a lot of the fan base is excited to see Henderson. Looks like he's officially kind of betting his way into the number one spot. I think it could have waited to the end of the season. I think De Gea deserves at least that. You know, in my opinion, I think he deserves the end of the season to kind of seal his fate, you know, for lack of a better term. And then Henderson today, I thought he made a great save for the first goal before it went in. But then other than that, I just thought he was, you know, had a couple shaky moments. What are your thoughts on the situation as a whole?
it's such a hard one, isn't it? Especially now that it seems like it's going in Henderson's way. I've always like, you know, since the start of the season, I've thought Henderson's the future, and I think it's probably the right time to pass the torch now, before Henderson gets annoyed or before it comes as a detriment to the squad. But now that it's actually happening, it's a bit scary in a sense, because there's no guarantee that Henderson's going to work out. And I feel like with De Gea, like, I get there's a few mistakes creeping in here and there, but he's still a world-class goalkeeper. But yeah, like you, I'm on the similar level to you. I think the things that De Gea has given United and where he's kept them in terms of the footballing stature that they still maintain, deserves a lot of respect. And I think by sort of pushing him out of the squad now doesn't really mirror that respect that he's earned. So I think as happy as I am to see Henderson playing, and I actually feel like defensively we're a better team with Henderson in goal, I still feel like I think especially if we can get top four wrapped up quickly, I think you've got to give it to De Gea for the rest of the season, just for sentimental value more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the fan base is too giddy when it comes to Henderson. And that doesn't mean he's a bad player. I think for majority of the time he's been in goal, he's been solid this season. But it just feels so forced. Maybe I'm overreacting. But I thought it was really forced the way they're doing it. You know, I saw our fearless leader Ben say Henderson is world class today on Twitter, and I love you, Ben, but oh boy, no, not yet. He has not done nearly anything for us to even say he's a top keeper yet, in my opinion. He has a long way to go. But yeah, no, we'll see. Jarvis Cocker says, definitely a definition of insanity is okay, and I like the Einstein quote, but to be fair, Ollie is doing the same over and over and win games. For me, it's not insanity, it's trying to improve the winning formula. Interesting comment. He's had a solid season. Ugly Bear. Oh, they're talking about Hannibal. We'll talk about young players much later. But we have to focus on this game. I want to talk about AWB today. I thought he was poor. You know how I feel about him, James. I think he's excellent, you know, more often than not, but people don't see it. But today, again, positionally for the Welbeck goal, I thought he was a bit lacking. It's something we've seen a few times this season. I think it's overblown immensely. But again, it's something he has to work on. What did you think about him today?
Yeah, it's a bit of a flaw in his game, isn't it, that we've seen a couple of times this season. I think Wan-Bissaka's playing like a man who needs some competition. I think Brandon Williams is clearly not up to the level to have Wan-Bissaka worried at all. And I think we're sort of seeing that in a way. I think like he's improved his attacking play, but in that sense, he also just feels everything's a little bit too overthought with Wan-Bissaka. It seems like he sees an option attacking wise. He then looks for other options and then goes back to his first option. And by that time, the first option's either been marked or the move, the passing lane sort of over. I think he just overcomplicates things going forward in a sense as well. But yeah, defensively, he's perfectly appreciated for his ability to challenge players and to win the ball back. But I think there's other sides of his defensive work that go sort of unnoticingly poor in that sense. Like you say, his positional awareness is maybe even his leadership and communications, because he might be a young player and he might be new to the team in that sense, but you still need to be a leader if you're playing in that back line of some description. I think that there's no communication there between Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka. You bring it back to almost a year ago now against Sevilla in that semi-final when De Jong dropped in between Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka and scored the winner for Sevilla. So it is becoming a little bit of a problem, and I'm sure it'll be something that he will improve on. But it just screams like it just screams someone who's too comfortable in their position at the minute.
Yeah, 1000%. I think he desperately needs competition, and that's not a shot at him by any means. He definitely needs someone who can make him think, make him push on the way Telles did with Shaw. It's very obvious that Shaw's a much better player now. Like it's now Telles is just good cover. I want to see someone come in to make AWB really, really think and work hard. I agree with a lot of the points you made. There are parts of his game that do need to improve. I'm not blind to it by any means. His passing today was poor, so poor. I thought positionally he was poor, and he didn't look like he had his normal engine. Normally he runs back hard. He covers every blade of grass that he possibly can. Today seemed like he was kind of just going through the motions, and that's always kind of a scary sign. I thought Luke Shaw was a little bit like that last season, and now he's completely turned a new corner. But yeah, Shaw has improved tremendously. Yeah, 100%. I think it's because Tellez came in and gave him something to at least think about. Brandon Williams was never going to make Luke Shaw think, ever. Love the kid, but he's probably not Manchester United standard. But to that point, yeah, I agree. AWB needs competition. Everyone make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, you feel me? I want to talk about – who do I want to talk about right now? I want to get your thoughts on Edison Cavani again. I've been asking a couple of the guys, what were your thoughts on him today? Again, I think his performance is kind of indicative of the season for all of our number nines, running around aimlessly, no service. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no service is obviously a big part of it. He didn't have much of the ball, but I think when he did get the ball, it was unimpressive as well. I think there was no real, someone pointed out on Twitter, that in the first half, especially, Fernandes wasn't picking up the ball in the right areas in that attacking role where you'd want him, and Cavani, when he was picking the ball up, wasn't anywhere near his formidable self. He looked sort of sluggish in that sense. So we didn't really have much of a stable centre of that attacking force, which you saw sort of when Greenwood moved into the middle and he got more involved in the game. But there's no denying Cavani's quality, and I do believe it's just a one-off game. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with him today, probably for a number of reasons. But he didn't have a good game by his standards.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I think that the writings, I don't think he's going to be back next season. I really don't. I can't see it personally. It looks like we desperately need to get another striker. I don't know if it's going to be a long-term option, another short-term fix. But yeah, we desperately need another striker. And it's sad that it's a year in and we're already talking about the beginning of the end for Edison Cavani. Very frustrating. But who was your man of the match today, James? I'm going to get you out of the way here so we can enjoy the rest of our evenings. But who was your man of the match today?
I thought, I was listening backstage and I thought the shout of Fred was a good one, because I've been a big critic of Fred recently. I think he has an incredible game in him every so often, but generally he's not up to standard. But I thought today he was phenomenal. His distribution was the thing that impressed me, because it's not something he's good at all, really, is, picking progressive passes. But, he didn't really seem to put a foot out of place the entire game. And I think, Luke Shaw was phenomenal as always, but I think we're just getting used to that now. So I think just to add a bit of variety, I'll probably go Fred, because I'll criticise him when he has a bad game, but you've got to praise him when he has a game like he did today. Yeah, no, I agree. I thought there was a few times where he played the strikers, through in on goal to start some counterattacks. He won the ball back so many times off the opposition. Yeah, and I've been the same. I wanted McTominay to start today alongside Pogba, and I probably still want to see that. Maybe through the run at the end of the season, just because I think that, I think Ollie wants McTominay to be kind of a regular going forward, whereas I don't know how sure he is about Fred, even though he plays him all the time. But yeah, no, I saw a question here that I want to answer from Jarvis, and then we'll get out of here. What do we expect from Pogba? Will he perform in a holding two, or should he play out left? I'll let you answer that, James. What are your thoughts on that? I was surprised today by how well he worked with Fred. I think just giving, that stable base at the back that Fred provided, in the sense that he didn't really need to do too much defensively, so you could just leave Fred back there on his own, and then, to allow Pogba to push up the pitch. And I think it worked quite well in that sense. But yeah, I think you've got to play Pogba in the middle. He's wasted out left more than anything. He's not able to influence the game in the way that he can. And we saw today he might not have had his best game, but he's like Bruno Fernandes, where even when he's playing poorly, he's still trying to make things happen. He still can be dangerous at any point, and I think that was typified in that the run he made into the box for their second goal, because it was a Frank Lampard sort of run, a late run to the back post, unmarked in that sense, and I thought he was good value for his assist. So it was pretty unremarkable today. He still played well, but not to his standards. But you can tell whenever he's on the pitch, he's such an asset to United.
Yeah, I feel like you're being so kind to Paul Pogba today. I feel like you're being so kind. I thought he was awful. I thought he was so bad today. But that's, we see the game differently. I do agree, though. Yes, when he is playing poorly, he has the quality to create something out of nothing. I agree with that. Run into the box. McTominay doesn't do that enough. I think he would be the Pogba replacement in that sense of the position they play, and he doesn't run into the box the way Pogba would. I do think, Pogba and somebody else always works better in the middle of the park. I don't think, Fred and McTominay just have that quality that Paul Pogba does. But to answer Jarvis's question, I would agree. I think Pogba playing centrally is best when he is up to the pace. I thought that today he was way behind the pace. I think he played too many international games, got comfortable with that speed, and he got overran. But normally when he is at the pace, he's a top quality player. And I do think when he plays on the left that he does give us something a little bit different. I think it allows him to not be as, honed in on his defensive responsibilities, gives him a little bit more freedom there. But I digress, guys. We won 2-1. Big win. I think top 4 is locked on, nailed in. I saw some comments about my jersey, my kit, as my lovely friends, across the pond say. Yes, this is an Eric Cantona number 7 jersey. You feel me? Legend. I love this kit. Like, this kit is absolutely fire. And I'm gonna start wearing a lot of these kits more often during these post-match things. You know what I'm saying? To spice it up a little bit. But guys, James, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for hopping on as always. Guys, make sure if you're not subscribed to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell your friends about this, share it, comment, all that good stuff that you can do to get this thing promoted. You feel me? Do all of it for us. And support the movement that is All for United. I am your host, Temi, aka Temi Talks United. I will talk to you all very, very shortly. Deuces.